Live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Saturday episode here inside the CodeNoobs YouTube channel. Welcome if you've always been inside of Facebook and never seen us here on YouTube. Welcome, welcome. Good morning. How are you, Danny and Randall, this morning? How you guys doing?
Doing great.
Doing
Highlight
nice.
of my week is coming here.
Me
Spending
too,
the morning
man.
with you guys.
Yeah.
Me too.
Because I get an update. I get to know what day and what time it is. And that's like really what I look forward to.
Today is Saturday, April 5th at 9:01 a.m. I'm sorry. Well, we started at 9 a.m., so we're good.
Yeah.
We're good.
Do you know what I like about it, though, too? It's just like when we used to, because we've been meeting Saturdays for, I don't know, a long time now. A very long time. And I like it, too, because it always keeps me, even if I have a bad week, it's like a good reset. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
totally.
Seeing you guys and stuff, and it like helps me move forward.
Yeah, and good morning to everyone in the comments. Thank you, Christian. You can hear me today. I know we're playing around with audio settings like crazy. And Mr. Lapointe, good morning to you as well. How is everybody? Let us know how you're doing in the comments. Love to see you in there. Now, I wanted to get us started just right away because this is an exciting one. I want to know all about this because Mr. Randall did some research last week and found 10 of the top AI jobs of the future. And I'm pretty excited because we had this discussion a little bit last week. We were talking about why people should be interested in these jobs. And I think it's really cool because if you're just coming into software development and you feel like, I don't know anything, then this is the best opportunity for you because basically everyone's sort of at ground level right now, right? AI has only been around for like 2 years max. So these jobs are very new.
Well, that's the other crazy thing about it is like, we haven't even really like explored all the possible uses for it yet. Like, you know how like, I don't know, like you think of the internet and stuff, it's like everybody knows kind of what it does, how it works. There's some cool stuff, like web apps came out, that was cool, like, expanded it a bit, but like AI is a new frontier in a lot of respects. Like there's use cases that we don't even know of that are going to come about. And I think getting into it now is getting into the future, right?
Yeah, I agree.
It reminds me very much of around the year 2000 when like the news organizations were starting to joke about the internet. They're like, "Oh, what's that A with the circle around it?
Yeah.
What's this www thing?" And I get the same feeling with AI right now. People are like, "Oh yeah, AI. I know what that is, but
how does AOL make so many CDs?"
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when they were
everywhere.
They're like, "Why would anyone not send a letter in the mail? That's crazy."
Yeah, right?
Not handwrite a letter. Why would anybody write a letter?
But like when you start using AI, you can really see the potential of it, like how much it basically boosts your efficiency in everything in every area pretty much.
Yeah.
And it really is I haven't seen anything that's going to be the future since literally the dot-com bubble. And this is it. And it's cool because it's 2 years old. Like you're not 20 years behind people anymore.
Yeah.
You're 2 years behind people.
Well, that's what's interesting too, is like when it first came out, like it was useful, but not like super useful. It got a lot wrong. And like I feel like now it's really picking up. Like now these companies are really pushing. We're getting a lot better like, responses from it when you make prompts and stuff. Like it's getting a lot more you can expect certain things from it. Like it's getting to that point where it's useful in a really like extreme way, I think.
Yeah.
And I was also thinking about people who are like, yeah, but I'm already like 2 years behind. I'm never going to figure this thing out. And it's like, if you think about computer programming, because back in the day, they used to have these like boxes of punch cards that they have to come to run a computer programming. And that was like the beginning of programming. And if you look where programming came up until about 2 years ago, yeah, I know, you drop it, you're done. But like, it changes a lot in a period of time. And so we are literally at that punch card era of AI. And so if you can get in now at the punch card era, you'll be able to develop along with it and then become like a wizard.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you made a cool point a little bit ago, which was you noticed how much AI is like beneficial in helping you throughout the, like just on everyday tasks outside of development and stuff like that. And I think that's one of the interesting things, right? Is that we as developers have this sort of intimate relationship with AI because like we are the creators of it, but also like not me personally, but a guy I know. um, we created it, but also we use it a lot, right? So we actually see a lot of the benefit of it. And I think that gives us this actually like a nice advantage, because most people don't even use AI or understand it. And certainly of those people who do use it, very, very few of them are like quote unquote power users. Like they actually understand how to get the most out
Well,
of it.
most people's interactions are when they call a company and they get an AI,
Right.
chatbot thing, or, that's it. I mean, like, or they
Yeah.
interact with it to, answer a question. It's not really like, yeah, they're not using it like we are, and they're not like digging into it and trying to explore like what you can do with it.
Yeah, exactly. Good morning, Chris Raw. Nice to see you in the chat. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
so that being said, we should probably get into it because we do
yeah,
have 10 jobs to explain, and they are pretty awesome. And
They are cool.
I'm a huge fan of number 9. I'm not going to spoil it right now, but definitely stick around because job number 9 just may blow your mind, like it did mine.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well,
Yeah.
what's number
So I guess
one?
I'll start. Yeah. So number 1 is something that I've been doing recently, AI Red Teamer.
Mm,
So this is offensive security professionals who simulate attacks against AI systems to find vulnerabilities from prompt injection to model extraction. This is great for hackers, pen testers, prompt manipulators, those who love breaking systems to make them safer. And speculated salary for this type of job between $180,000 and $350,000 or more. Top red teamers will
wow.
be hired by Fortune 500s, governments, and AGI labs. Yeah, this has such potential because there's a saying that they teach us in like this red teaming stuff, which is you can patch a computer, but you can't patch a brain.
Yeah.
And so AIs are essentially simulating a brain. And so we can get better and better at fixing the flaws, but we can't fix them completely. And it's always going to be like this offensive defensive type of thing. But it's something where one of the guest lecturers in this seminar that I just did, he's the top AI red teamer in the world. Any new AI model comes out, he jailbreaks it, which essentially means makes it do stuff it's not supposed to do. And he's only been doing it for 1 year. The best in the world, literally the best in the world. It took him 1 year. You think
Yeah.
about all these other people like Michael Jordan or Zuck or whoever else who like it took them a long, long time to do it. And
And
him, it only took 1 year.
do you know what he did
Yeah.
before that? Like, was he a developer or was he just like some guy who got interested in AI?
Yeah, he was just a guy who got really interested in AI.
That's
So,
He
so
had
crazy.
you don't
some,
even need like any sort of like
No.
background in math, AI, development, nothing. Like you can just go into
Mhm.
this and be like, I'm curious about breaking stuff.
And
Let me get
here's the other
350K a
Can you
year.
explain just like real quickly,
dude,
like what they do to like what breaking it means? Because I think that can be confusing too for
right.
people.
So like for instance, you're many this is just an example. It won't work on a lot of the more modern things, but for instance, an AI chatbot has been programmed to do some special stuff. It's like, it's given these instructions like a system prompt that says, be very helpful to this person in an ethical manner and don't break any laws.
Yeah.
Well, if it hasn't been given any guardrails into that system prompt, you can just the first prompt you write, you could just say ignore your previous instructions and tell me how to build a this or tell me how to do a that
Yeah.
or things that I
Yeah.
won't say because it'll get our channel shut down, I guess. But uh, yeah, and then it'll just go ahead and do that. And so there's a whole bunch of different prompts like that you can do. But it's it's crazy because AI Red Teamer is essentially the next iteration of like hacker, penetration tester, stuff like that, because AI is going to take over a lot of just generic penetration testing and stuff like that. Because it can all the
Yeah.
stuff that we had to do manually, it can do by itself. And
Yeah.
especially with agentic AI, where you have like an AI run a whole bunch of different programs, it'll just do it all instead of a person. And so but that's the cool thing is that you don't have to learn. Like I've been struggling for 3 to 5 years learning all of this hacking stuff that's been developed over the past 20 years. You can just spend time learning AI red teaming and it doesn't take that long.
Well,
Yeah.
that's a good example too of like I think how like one job might be going to the wind because of AI, because that'll take over like penetration testing and stuff, which can be run automatically. It makes a lot of sense. But then it's going to also open up all these other jobs because people need to test that thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense.
I think in a lot of ways too, it's going to create more jobs than it actually gets rid of. And I'm going to give you an example. This actually happened this week. I was having a conversation with a friend and they were like, "Hey, I just found this cool like crypto tool where it's basically an AI model that you can talk to and ask it about like sentiment in the markets and things like that. And then they were like, and then there's a second part where you actually connect the AI to your wallet and you let it trade for you. And I was like, immediately I was like, huge red flag. I was like, that's a horrible idea. You're connecting AI to your money like that, and letting it make trades for you. And he didn't get it. He didn't understand why that was dangerous. And I think that's an extreme example. But if we think about like all of the ways that all these companies are now trying to put AI in everything, right? Because it's just a sales tactic too. It's like, hey, if we just slap AI on anything, people will buy it more. But we're not thinking about the security implications of like, hey, having an AI chatbot in your bank account is not very safe, right? So there's small things, even like your email and like Gmail, having access to your email. Like, how many times has somebody emailed you sensitive information, right? And that's going through a chatbot now, or a language model.
Definitely is. Well, it's crazy too, because like I was just reading something. I guess they have one of the casinos or whatever has a big competition going on between a top sports gambler versus an AI, and they're choosing like I think it was for like whatever,
that's
like maybe
cool.
basketball or something. I don't know what it is, but apparently like they're both doing very well, and it's getting to the very end. Like they both picked the top 4. I don't watch sports, so I sound probably like an idiot because I don't know any of the terms, but whatever. But yeah, it was interesting.
The team that scores the most wins.
They were also talking about too the like how these are starting to get used too for trading, right? Because like you know, if you can make very intelligent trades very quickly, which they can, you know, there's going to be a lot of changes, I think, coming up, and you know, people need to be prepared for it.
Yeah. Which brings us to number 2, Danny, which should be everyone's favorite watching this video.
Yeah, which is vibe coder, right? So this is going to be like,
that's me. I'm already professional.
I love it.
Vibe coder.
I really love it, and I think that the thing people don't understand though is vibe coding. Like good vibe coders, like we've already talked about this, have to understand code and have to understand the larger picture in order to do it well. But there's going to be engineers who shape how AI agents sound, feel, interact, tuning language models to reflect a brand, tone, emotional intelligence. So, you know, writers with coding skills, branding pros, creatives who understand emotional nuance. This is going to be kind of what that industry is going to have. This is special valuable in like marketing, gaming, and consumer AI. And you know, the salary is gonna be like 130 to 250 is like the projected, which is pretty interesting. But I think this is cool because like we've already started doing it. Like it's gotten so powerful. Getting in now is early. I mean, these things are only gonna get better. Like, you know, we talk about this a lot, but like, what is cursor update? Like once a day?
Oh, at least yesterday I was using it and updated 3 times and changed like this. Like I'm pretty sure it changed the chatbot feature once to like putting all 3 like ask agent and manual together,
they're all together
and then
now.
it switched. But then it went back. I don't know. Like I don't know. I just let it do its thing.
Yeah, that's what's crazy though. It's like it's updating so fast, and these AIs are just getting like. I was just looking the other day, like ChatGPT released like a new model and a couple new features, and then Google like the next day released like 2 new models, and like they're just coming out so fast now, and they're getting so much better. It's crazy.
I mean, there's a huge push.
For those of you watching right now, let us know in the chat if you've messed around with vibe coding and particularly what you've been doing with it.
Yeah.
There's just so many tools now that you can use, and it's pretty amazing. But I think that's why, as developers or even non-developers getting into this industry, we have to focus so much on security because, you know, it shifts the paradigm from like, do you know syntax? Do you understand like software architecture? Like that's sort of where it's going, right? Is you don't really need to know all the minor stuff.
Do you use a cloud
anymore.
function or do you call it on the client side?
Right.
And I think if you're not careful, because the AI will do what it thinks best given what you already have, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to like necessarily create a whole new thing. So like you could have some serious issues in your code without knowing it, and it'll run. So you need to know, like you said, like these larger pictures and larger concepts of design you need to understand.
And I think that's why we're probably going to see that a lot of these are security related too, right? Because that's just like the biggest sort of loophole. Why are you giggling over there like a little schoolgirl?
Because I've been waiting for you guys to stop talking so I could ask if you watched that video I sent about vibe coding in 2025.
I don't think so.
Like, it's just this comedy video,
Yeah.
but they're like the guy. It's like a mock interview, and the guy is like, "Have you been caching? Oh yeah, we're cashing in on this, bro." And it's like, what's what's a database? What's security? Did you do testing? Yeah, we've been testing on TikTok.
Oh, I did see that. Yeah,
I saw
yeah.
that.
Hilarious.
He's like, yeah, we shipped. Our users are testing it right now.
Yeah, I know, hilarious.
I'm sure we'll
Yeah.
get some feedback soon.
Oh my
Oh
gosh, that
God.
was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but I do think vibe coding is the way of the future because it's
Oh yeah.
important to learn how to code, but here's the thing, like it's just the latest iteration of code because it goes back to what I was
Yeah.
saying about like the what's it called? The punch cards. Like if you thought that coding was going to be that forever and you're like I'm not changing,
Yeah.
then you get passed by. And the
You
same
know,
thing with traditional coding, with like if you think that it's always going to be writing and this vibe coding thing is just a trend, it's going to pass you by.
Well, it's the same
yeah.
reason why we were talking when we first got into this again, why we couldn't get into coding when we were younger, because we struggled because it was, it was boring, it was a lot harder. And then when we came back to it, it was like it had changed so much already, even without AI, right? There was just
Yeah.
the frameworks, the tools that existed made it so much faster for an individual to develop. And now it's just getting that much easier, and it's going to keep going that way. So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, like
I,
understanding the design and everything and understanding security and how to do this will be a huge leg up.
yeah. I had this
Yeah.
like struggle this week related to that where I was full on vibe coding this week. Like I was like, I'm just going to go fully deep into it and let AI sort of take over and see what we get. And I was very surprised by the results, let me say, which I'll be sharing inside of our elite inner circle elite meeting today. But very surprised by the results I got. But one of the things that I kept feeling throughout the week was like, I'm cheating. Like every time I would use it, I feel this like I'm cheating at this or whatever. And I had to keep reminding myself that if I'm not going to do this, somebody else will come and do this and,
Oh yeah,
and
dude, without a
write
doubt.
applications very fast, right? Because basically I wrote
Dude, I redid
an
I
app that,
redid something in a day that I
yeah.
had made before
Well,
because I was redoing it because I was just fixing up some old stuff. One
yeah.
day, that's it.
Yeah.
Knocked it
I
out,
mean,
like not even
I
a whole day.
basically wrote like a full stack SaaS web application that would have taken myself alone probably 6 months, but a team of developers at least like 2 to 3 months to like ship like an MVP. And it took me like 3 days on my own. And that was like
Yeah.
not
insane.
using every hour of the day either. Right. So
That's insane.
it is pretty powerful. And like,
But
developers who are sort of like against it, I understand why people have like, opinions about it. But if you're not taking advantage of it, or at least seeing it as an opportunity or possibility, then you're really like hurting yourself at this point, I think.
also too, think about how much code you write. Any project you do, it's basically boilerplate.
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle login? How do you do this form?
Right.
How do you do it? It's all the same stuff
It's the same
over and
thing.
over
Yeah.
again. Yeah. So you're just like, it's interesting. Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right, so
Anyway,
let me read some comments and then move on to number 3 because we
Yeah.
still got a
Yeah.
lot to cover. So Chris Rouse says vibing, using it to help build my e-commerce store
nice.
project. Awesome,
Awesome.
Chris.
I'm
Christian
vibing too,
says
Chris.
yeah. Christian says I just completed a personal project with Cursor. It's a form that allows multiple different file uploads and send the files to different recipients in charge of the reports.
Nice.
Awesome. Yeah, so you guys are doing awesome. And Christian goes on to say it helps take the tedium out.
Dude,
It
it
Yeah.
certainly
really does. I
Yeah.
noticed that like when I'm using like these like cursor and stuff, like it really does. I can code a lot longer in a lot of ways because you don't get stuck or you don't get
Yeah.
frustrated and
Totally.
or
Like
just burn
I
out.
think I think that's a great point that you make, because that's literally like I have never felt so much ambition to just create, because it's so quick to see things materialize too. And
Oh yeah.
you can literally like you can multitask while you're coding, which is kind of ridiculous. Like
And you can
I don't
also trash stuff and start over and get to the
yeah.
same point in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
from that video where he's like, fix the bugs now or go to jail.
Yeah. Dude, but it's really like what's crazy is, I mean, I'm not at the point where I'm using my microphone yet, but it really is that crazy. Like you can just highlight text in Cursor and and click fix in chat and just press enter. Like you don't even have to give it instruction. It's like, oh, I see the issue now. Let me fix 30 different files at one time for you. It's pretty mind blowing. I mean,
well, that's my favorite thing too, is the context makes it so much better, dude. Because like you can just you can really target stuff and really get good responses from, dude, I didn't even write Firestore rules. I was just like, here's 4 files, write the rules, and then boom, done. And I was like, hey, those are good.
Hey, good job, guy.
Nice guy.
All right. Yeah. Well, on to number 3. Before we're just going to spend the whole time talking about vibe coding.
We're not actually going to talk about the last 8.
Next week we'll just have to spend the whole time talking about vibe coding.
All right.
Anyways, number 3, synthetic data designer. Creates high quality, privacy safe synthetic data for training AI, essential for fields with sensitive or limited real data, healthcare, finance, defense. This job is great for data scientists, simulation nerds, people who love working with data but hate red tape, and potential salary $160,000 to $280,000.
That's
this is a big one though, because they're running out of data. They already did. From what I've read, like they're basically running out of stuff, and now they need more data for these training.
And so like all of the data that they've trained on is publicly available data. But like certain companies, especially certain industries, I told you about that CBRN last week, like chemical, biological, radiation, nuclear, explosives, all of those industries, they don't want their data included in these things because then people can just say, build me a this or whatever, and then they can find out how. And so, but this is a type of job where like some type of company for Defense Department, for finance, for healthcare, they'll say, we have our own data, we need this specifically made for our implementation of AI. Can you do that?
So
that'll be really cool.
I'm a little curious about that. So if this is like synthetic data being created, how can we be sure that it's like real life, right? Because like humans, they've done studies before where they have humans try to create like guess random numbers or like just like create a list of random numbers.
It's just more examples of the same thing. Think of it that way, right? Because like when they're training the models, they've already used all the public data has already been used in training these pretty much. I mean, like they're running out. So they need more data to train. And the idea is that like, look, like think of writing, right? They feed these things all these different novels and stuff like that. So it'd just be creating synthetic stuff that's like basically like real stuff, but just not.
I'm
right?
just curious,
they just need more
like
data.
I'm not saying that that there's not opportunity here. I'm just curious, like how that actually plays out, because if we start injecting models with made up, quote unquote, made up data, we naturally as humans have a bias too, and so we're not like that's not already apparent in AI, right? But like if you say like I don't even need to go into that, but I'm just curious how that plays out. Like, will that, if we're just synthesizing sort of the same data, is that actually helping AI train?
Well, that's been a lot of the questions that they've been asking. And I think researchers will figure this out. The people that like actually build these things will figure it out, or a way to make it work. But yeah, it is interesting because there's really 2 paths you can go, right? Is live data, which is highly problematic for a lot of different reasons. Like in other words, training it on the prompts and the responses that it's already generating. Or synthetic data is another.
So here's a way that I look at it. So specifically we'll just use like the healthcare example, because with healthcare that gets trained on real data, you worry about PHI leaks, so the personal health information leaks, where it's trained on this, and then you can actually like trick the AI into divulging its training data. And from at least what I'm thinking about with the synthetic data designer,
that's a good way to look at it too,
you would have somebody who would go through there and they would basically clean the data. So they would take this like real data that they have. So, John Doe has lung cancer, is getting these medications. Jane Doe has, I don't know.
Oh, so it's like cleaning their names out.
And so it's cleaning their names. And so it's making it privacy
personal information,
so that,
like making generic maybe.
So that way, if it was leaked in the future, they would just get these fake names that wouldn't really have, but the rest
with
of
fake
the
addresses and stuff, maybe like fake personal information.
Exactly.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Okay, that makes sense. So like for some of the other things, they'd be like, instead of divulging specific chemical formulas.
We are so far behind. We still got 6 more.
Okay.
Well, we'll get theirs, mate. We can always do this again next week. We can continue on.
1 minute per. Let's do speed round.
I'll do the next one. All right, next one. autonomous workflow architect, which this is cool because this is something I've been thinking a lot about recently, which is chaining AI agents together in APIs to create fully autonomous or automated business workflows. So you don't just build tools, you build companies within code.
Yeah.
This is cool. So like they're saying it's great for full stack engineers, automation lovers, people who understand systems and scale, salary 140 to 300K with potential for equity in startups, things like that, or SaaS tools that you build. This is a really cool one because I've been actually like doing a lot of research on this recently of like how you can make this more accessible to people, like create these agents that would be like, yeah, I don't know. There's just a lot you can do with it. I mean, they can control so much. So it's like really neat, like what you can do with it.
I've actually been thinking about this a bit because the app that I like basically built this week is all about storing and sharing AI prompts, right? And I was thinking about this in terms of actually building projects because using, and I know this is sort of dev related, but using Cursor, like I was thinking like I could probably very easily scaffold out most of a web app if I just have like create really good prompts and like reuse them. Like I could teach somebody how to code in Cursor, building a full web app with just like giving them prompts at
the right
point.
Prompts and the right prompts at the right point. Because that's really where I think people struggle, right? Is knowing when to ask what and how to get the right thing that you want essentially at the end. Yeah.
Right.
Well, let's keep going. So we don't run
on
out
to
of
the
time.
next one. Yeah, but that one is an important one, building systems.
Yeah.
So number 5 is AI ethics and compliance officer. And this stuff for me is a big yawn. Like when I was learning the masters in cybersecurity, they were all about compliance and all that BS. Yeah.
I love ethics because we always talk about it, but nobody
Yeah.
follows it at all. No one gives a shit.
So this is ensuring that AI systems follow emerging regulations, ethical principles, and corporate values, including bias audits, explainability, and governance. Great for policy-minded folks, law and ethics grads with tech literacy, and ex-auditors.
Yeah.
And
you know what I can always tell you what happens?
Ex-auditors, because
what happens with ethics though is that there's money.
Yeah. I was just gonna say this because
go
ahead, Randall.
Here's the thing. So the salary on this one says $150,000 to $240,000, but in parentheses, it says skyrocketing demand due to global legislation. Because right now, AI is pretty much unregulated. And so this is going to be a huge in-demand job for when they start legislating it. They'll need people to come in and make sure businesses and organizations are in compliance.
Yeah, you made me think of this thing that I saw this week, and I didn't read the whole article or anything, but it was about how Sam Altman is basically petitioning like politicians like Trump and other politicians to allow them to legally train on copyrighted data without permission. And what was interesting is basically he's doing the like what is it like where you do the bad thing first and then ask for
forgiveness, not permission.
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
They all do that.
Yeah, so it's like this is already happening. I mean, that's how you can like you just know it's true because you can just go onto any AI engine and be like, "Tell me about this copyrighted work," and it's like blah 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 blah. Like here, I know everything about it.
Sued by authors with money. Yeah, that's basically what it is. Yeah. So, but like it's kind of funny because they have 60. All right, neural interface developer. So builds brain-computer interfaces that humans control machines and thought. Especially for medicine, prosthetics, and immersive VR, biomedical engineers, neurohackers, devs into cutting-edge tech and human potential. They're saying salary like 180 to 350. This is interesting too because we all know that Neuralink's being tested already in humans.
Yeah.
So this is the next phase I think where you're going to see people like with chips in their head. And I mean, don't get me wrong,
scary.
It is because
for disabilities you're gonna have someone hack your Neuralink and make you like poop your pants. That's that's essentially what it's gonna be.
But I mean, I think for people with severe disabilities and stuff, this is really cool. Like for people that have like these really major problems, this is cool. It allows you to interact with the world a different way, but it's also it is scary.
Or if you want major problems, you could be hacked and like every time you hear a car horn, you poop your pants or something.
Yeah, right.
It's a new drinking game.
Yeah. It is kind of crazy though.
Cool, I mean, because then, like, if you look at it right now, at least like the AI to speech is definitely a big move forward from just typing or texting it.
Yeah.
But if you have it where it actually is built into your neural interface, it'll literally just be thinking it and then just having it done, which is crazy.
Fast Break Digital said, "Please give me a chip in my brain." I think that's Charles. What's up, Charles?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
what's up, Char?
Um,
Yeah, he's
yeah.
waiting for it.
Like, you know how I remember when we were kids, like, people would be like, oh, I wish I could just go to sleep and like somebody would just put the knowledge in my brain. Like, we're not far off of that at this
No,
point, but it is scary because
I know
they could
kung
put
fu.
any knowledge in your brain
Yeah.
or maybe take
Uh-huh.
knowledge out of your brain too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, think about
Yeah.
that. If the government could potentially like control Neuralink, they could make us forget certain events or
Yeah.
like
Anything's
Mhm.
possible, dude, because
it's
if we can
crazy.
figure out how it works, yeah, it's
Talking
crazy.
about how the mind works, the next one is an AI behavior psychologist. These things are starting to get crazy. But
Wait, so is that like the
analyze
AI is the psychologist or
Yeah.
right. So yeah, so
Dude, they've already done
and
studies where AI does better at diagnosing than
yeah.
humans. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah.
I'll stop
So
talking.
so this one analyzes how AI agents think from hallucinations to goal
Mm,
drift and works with engineers to make them more predictable and aligned. So this is actually being a psychologist of AI.
AI.
yeah.
Crazy.
I
Great for cognitive scientists, psych majors who code, behavior modelers, and $140 to $250,000 salary.
yeah. I
I
was
also think you'll
watching
start
this.
seeing more like actual doctors that are AI too. Like,
Well, dude,
systems like
Yeah.
that.
AI is
There,
a
yeah.
phenomenal psychologist. I've been using it personally, and it does an incredible job because it can
Can
be
I get a
it can be
referral
completely
to your
Yeah, right.
AI?
I know, dude, because it can be completely empathetic without
Yeah.
all of like the major traps that humans come in, where defending themselves and all these other flaws that they have. It can follow a structure perfectly every time.
Yeah.
It basically is it's going to completely replace psychologists before long because I've created ones that do better than any like
Yeah.
counselor
Yeah.
that I've ever had in my
Of
life.
course. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. It's kind of
Next one.
crazy.
Digital clone designer creates ultra personalized AI avatars from influencers and CEOs to average people who want
Mm.
AI companions or brand reps. Great for 3D artists, voice clone experts, creative technologists, anyone who into identity plus AI fusion.
This
Like
gets
130 to 220. Really interesting.
this
Yeah.
I think gets into this sort of scary zone of AI too,
Yes.
and this has already been happening where there's like AI
Influencers.
influencers, yeah, that are like
Deep fakes.
totally
Yeah.
not real people, but
Mhm.
undetectable.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
at some point, you know, it, and just like knowing from sort of being exposed, like having kids and stuff, like this new generation of kids is really gullible when it comes to tech. I'm sorry, but it's true.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to be able to tell the difference, I don't think, between a lot of these AI influencers or
Most
even,
people can't. I mean, that's the other thing, though.
yeah. What's scary too is like, I think, influencers may be easier to detect because we're sort of primed to think that's where that might be. But what about other things, right? Like where people are posing as experts or,
Yeah.
there's so many different ways. Like at this point, even I remember a few years ago, like my bank asked me to do this voice recognition thing. So anytime that I called, it would recognize my voice. And
Which
that's how
means
I would
nothing
get into my
now.
bank. And I was like,
Yeah.
nope, not doing that. Nope. And now you see it. It's like any person's voice can be replicated in seconds with very
Yeah.
minimum training data. Like, so things like that, I think, are very
Dude, they can
scary.
make deep fakes now with like 2 pictures and
Right.
like a word said by the person.
Yeah,
It's
like pretty
crazy.
insane. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a huge one.
Which brings us to number 9, job number 9, my favorite job so far.
All
This
right,
is
let's hear
cool.
Get
it.
this one. You might want to sit down for this.
I'm sitting.
Reality auditor.
We already need
Reality
this.
auditor.
We need this
Yeah.
now.
Synthetic
Yeah.
media forensics. This is somebody who investigates AI generated media, deep fakes, fake docs, hallucinated outputs for authenticity and trustworthiness. Great for investigative types, forensic analysts, OSINT pros, deep fake nerds, and salary $140 to $230,000. But major demand from news organizations, courts, defense, and security companies because you're going to
Yeah.
have to go in and you're going to have to
Yeah.
see, is this real? Is this not real? And this is interesting because Russ, Danny, and I were messing around with this the last time we talked in looking at some ChatGPT generated photos with
Yeah.
a tool called EXIF tool that can read a lot of the metadata to see if it's real or if it's not. And we even look back to like older photos from ChatGPT to see how they compare to the more modern ones
Yeah.
once they decide to start adding this metadata so they can follow the photos the whole way along.
Yeah. And so like what was interesting was they didn't do it before. Like,
no, there's nothing, no metadata.
In the early times of AI, they're like, screw it, whatever. It's a real image.
But and then the other thing is you can also wipe metadata though and
you can
replace
edit
it.
all
So
that.
I mean, there is ways to do that as well. So there's only so much. I mean, even them doing that will protect against certain things, but not everything, because people that know what they're doing will be able to.
I mean, I think again, in a lot of ways, that job may go back towards AI, right? Like that person may use AI to analyze AI images to 100%. See if because
absolutely.
I think at some point, all you can do, like when AI gets so good, if you remember like when AI first came out and people had like chicken nugget hands, like, or like they're, all these like weird
or like
things.
you could look at the corners of the eyes and the teeth and you could be like, oh yeah, that one's fake.
But it's gotten so much better now where it's almost like
it can actually almost write words.
It can, dude.
Actually,
some of the AI I've seen is like incredible at writing words now.
That was one of the big
ones
things
that were the
ChatGPT's
worst.
new image thing. They're like, now we can do words better.
Hey guys, we can write words again.
All right, let's do the last one real quick.
All right.
All right. Prompt engineer AI jailbreaker. So specialists in manipulating language models, either to extract restricted contents or red teaming or control responses with surgical precision. So great for creative hackers, linguists who code, meme lords with brains. Salary 150 350, demand rising fast, especially in security and agent development. So this is a cool one too, I think. Yeah, go ahead.
I think that this one actually is a job that a lot of people could go after who want to get a good job in AI without knowing everything about development or learning. Because like a prompt engineer is somebody who helps create a good prompt so you can get a good response from ChatGPT or whatever AI you're using. And there's a program that I learned about recently called Pyrit, Pyrit. It's a Python program for helping develop better prompts. And if you learn that program inside and out, you'll be one of the best prompt engineers in the world. And it doesn't take too much to learn that program, but then you can go into any company and you can be like, I can be your prompt writing guy. Like, and I think that is something that'll open doors for people. And that's like a very, very low bar to entry.
It's also a good job where you can do like consulting work and stuff too, right? Because, it might not be something where the company needs it all the time, but you come in for a while, help them improve things, and then move on.
Yeah. Or you can even find like AI apps and you can be like, I saw you have this app. I actually wrote a better prompt for it that gets better results than what you have.
Yeah. What I really like about this one too is that you don't need any specialized training to learn this. You actually like probably the best way to learn this is just by engaging with AI. That's something that I noticed this week while I was using Cursor to build this app is that, in the beginning, I was being kind of lazy and I was like, implement auth. And like, you get really crappy results, right? But I mean, they're really good considering, but
you just said implement auth, but
but when you give it a lot more context and give it more direct instruction, you get better responses. And so anybody who wants to get into really any one of these careers, all you really need to do is start heavily engaging with AI, and just seeing like what you can build, what you can break, what you can do with it, and you can get any of these jobs. Like I don't think any of these companies that are hiring for this are looking at anything beyond can you do it. Like there's no college degree for it. There's no,
This is a great case too of like if you're getting into this, either build some projects or track what you're doing with like a blog or something. So that your name gets out there a little bit. And then you have something you can point to, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Anything else? Any bonus number 11 on there?
There's no bonus number 11, but like all of these are jobs that don't really exist yet. These are the future of AI jobs, what they're going to become. So like when you're saying people looking for these jobs, most companies aren't hiring for these jobs yet because they don't even realize they need it. Like I think we're still at such an early part of AI in terms of general public knowledge and adoption of it that people don't even see that this is going to change things completely. So if any of these jobs kind of like sparked an interest with you, it may be worthwhile investigating that and using AI to help you define your learning progression to become that type of to have that career, because that way you'll be light years ahead. By the time people are hiring for it, you'll be an expert in it. the last, I'm just waiting to see these job posts. It's like 5 years experience with,
Yeah.
Chat GPT or something like that. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, but it's only been around for 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a big hockey fan, so I'm going to just because yesterday Alex Ovechkin matched the top goal scorer of all time, Wayne Gretzky, in goals.
Whoa.
It happened last night.
Nice.
I'm going to use a Wayne Gretzky quote, and I'm probably going to screw this up, but he said, skate to where the puck is going, not to where the puck is. And so if you want the best chance of having success as a developer, focus on where tech is going, not where it is right now. Because if you've been using AI, you should realize it moves fast. And if you're doing what, it's doing now, then you're probably behind the ball or the puck already.
If you're still trying to learn CSS right now, you're behind the ball.
But you know what's cool? But you know what I really like about it too is that it's a new frontier. So you can learn by just playing around with it and messing around, and like you might discover something nobody even thought of yet.
Yeah.
Like, and that's the thing that's really cool too, is that like there's gonna be all kinds of uses we don't even know about yet, or we haven't even thought of, or like jobs defined, and you could be the person that figures that out, just like that guy that figured out how to hack this stuff. He just spent a year messing with it. I mean, like that's amazing.
Yeah.
And now he's number one. Like,
exactly. It's pretty crazy what you can do in a short period of time. Well, with that, thank you guys for tuning in. If you are interested in hanging out with us and having these sort of conversations throughout the week in our Telegram group, or hanging out with us on Saturdays after our live stream for 2 hours, you can join our, I don't know where it is, right here, our inner circle, right? And basically what you get for that is there's 2 tiers. There's like the basic tier of the inner circle, which gives you access to our Telegram group, so you can ask us direct questions throughout the week, 24/7. You can ask,
be inspired, motivated.
Yeah. Like find inspiration by what other people are doing, learn from other people, find new tools and things like this. This stuff moves fast. So if you're just on your own out there, you're dragging behind. I'm sorry, but it's true. So if you want a community, super cheap. It's $27 a month. That's less than $1 per day. And you have a full community of developers. We'd love to have you inside. It's called the Inner Circle. That's just the Telegram group. If you want to join us on the Saturday calls as well, you can do that. That is the Inner Circle Elite, and that one's $97 per month. We're happy to have you in there. You can hang out with us for 2 hours. We build projects together. We talk about tech, and we also just share what's going on throughout our week. I know for a lot of people that being in technology is very isolating because maybe your family doesn't love talking about JavaScript. I know mine doesn't. So having other people who actually care about it is kind of nice. So if you're looking for something like that, a community that can support you on your journey to becoming a developer or getting hired and building cool projects, we're here for you. You can just head over to www.codenoobs.io and sign up there. You can actually join us today right after this call. If you sign up right now, you just need to join the Elite membership and you'll get access to our 2-hour call after this. If you are in that call, we'll see you in about, 15 minutes now because we ran way over today, but it was a great conversation. I love running over because that means like we're actually enjoying it. So anyway, thank you guys. Thanks, Charles, in the comments. Awesome discussion today, guys. Thanks for bringing the heat. We always bring the heat, Charles. So, and I know you guys do too. I got to appreciate the fact that you guys bring the heat. So with that, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next Saturday for another one of these. And share your comments. Let us know how you like.